No one knew why the noble daughters of Valthari were dying. They were young, healthy, and strong until one day they just stopped. Their glowing skin turned cold. Their eyes faded, and their hearts slowly gave up. The doctors could not explain it. The scientists gave it a name: inactivity, collapse. But even they didn't know what caused it. The people whispered in fear, saying it was a curse from the ancestors. But the truth was darker than any curse. And the High Council of Valthari was hiding it. Sarika was next. She was the youngest daughter of House Thalin, a proud and ancient bloodline. She had just turned of H19 cycles under the twin moons. Her powers had awakened. Her skin glowed like soft starlight, but her time was running out. She felt it in her bones, a cold ticking inside her at night. Her dreams turned into screams, and by morning, her breath grew shorter. Her mother wept silently behind closed doors. Her father shouted at the doctors, the healers, and even the priests. "Save her," he roared. "Spare no cost, try anything," but no one could. Then, on her worst night, when her chest burned and her skin dimmed, Sarika whispered something strange, one word, from a dream she didn't understand. "Human." The word shook the room. Her father froze. Her mother gasped. They both looked at each other like they'd heard a ghost speak. The servants were ordered out, and the room was sealed that night. A secret meeting was held, far away in the silent halls of the Thalin estate, and for the first time, the truth came out. The sickness wasn't new. It had happened before, long ago, but the history books had erased it. The daughters of Valthari had always needed something more than their own kind. Their powers, once awakened, needed to bond emotionally, physically with another being to stabilize, but not just any being, only with humans. Thousands of years ago, a deep connection had formed between early Valthari and ancient humans. A connection no one understood, but it was real. The ancestors had hidden it to protect their bloodlines, to keep their pride. Now, that choice was killing their daughters. Sarika's father couldn't believe it at first. How can this be? He asked the old priestess, her face wrinkled with age and secrets. "The bond must happen," she said softly, "or she will fade like the others." "There are no humans on Valthari," he said. "They were banned." "Yes," the priestess nodded, "but some still live." On Earth, silence filled the room. The council would never allow it. But Sarika's parents no longer cared about rules. They cared only for their daughter. So they made a plan. Sarika was too weak to travel, but time was running out. They built a small, fast vessel, hidden with cloaking tech. They gave her only one mission: find a human and bond, not with force, not with lies, but truly bond, heart and soul. Her father held her hand before launch. "You are our last hope," he whispered. "Do not be afraid," Sarika nodded, though fear was already in her throat. The stars waited above, cold and endless. And somewhere out there, a human existed, one who might save her life. The ship launched silently into the black void of space. No one outside the family knew, not even the council. Sarika lay in her stasis pod, her skin already dimming. She had only days left, maybe less. The bond had to begin soon, nor death would take her like it had taken so many others. Back on Valthari, more daughters were starting to show signs of collapse. The council tightened their grip, destroyed old records, silenced anyone who asked questions, but whispers spread faster than truth. And across the stars, destiny was already in motion. Earth was her only hope, and time was her enemy. Tyler Carter wasn't a hero. He wasn't a soldier or a scientist. He was just a junkyard technician living in a rusted shack at the edge of New Denver on Earth. He spent his days fixing broken satellites and old drone parts for credits. People barely talked to him, and he liked it that way. He didn't need attention. He just needed peace. But peace ended the night. The sky screamed. It was just after midnight. Tyler was outside repairing a wind turbine when he saw it. A blue streak tore across the sky like a wounded comet. Then it dipped, fast and low, crashing into the canyons behind his scrapyard. The ground shook, birds flew, and sparks danced in the distance. Tyler stood frozen for a second, then grabbed his flashlight and ran. When he reached the crash site, smoke filled the air. A sleek silver ship lay buried in the red dirt, its hull cracked and glowing dimly. The design wasn't human. Tyler had worked with old alien wreckage before. This was something rare. Something alive. Cautiously, he climbed onto the hull and found the entry panel. It was half melted, but still powered. With a few careful touches, he opened the hatch. What he saw inside made his heart stop. A girl, an alien girl. She was lying inside a stasis pod. Her skin glowing faintly like moonlight on water. Her white hair floated around her face, and her eyes half open were gold like fire. She looked no older than 20, and yet fragile, weak. There were veins of blue light crawling under her skin, pulsing slower and slower. "Hey," Tyler whispered. Unsure why he even spoke, he reached out, and the moment his hand touched the side of the pod, her eyes fully opened. She gasped, then reached up and grabbed his wrist. "Human," she whispered, her voice soft but desperate. "Please, help me." Tyler blinked. Okay, but who are you?" She didn't answer, only pointed toward the pod control panel. He hesitated, then pressed the emergency release. The pod hissed open and warm steam rolled out. She collapsed into his arms, her body burning with heat. He didn't know what else to do, so he carried her back to his shack. That night, Tyler had no sleep. He tried to give her water, wrap her in blankets, and figure out what she meant. She spoke only in short phrases, her breath shallow, words like bond, fade, and time. He thought maybe she was poisoned or sick with something alien. But every time he touched her skin even lightly, her body glowed brighter. It was like she was charging from him. By morning, she could sit up. "My name." "Soraka," she said slowly, her voice still. "Weak, I came." "From Valtteri." Tyler raised an eyebrow. "Never heard of it," she nodded. "No one remembers." By design, she tried to explain in broken words. Her people, the Valtteri, had a condition, an ancient sickness that affected young females after their powers awakened. They would lose energy, weaken, and eventually fade into death. But there was one cure: a bond with a human. A bond of emotion and contact. Something her people had buried in shame for centuries. Tyler thought it sounded like some twisted alien fantasy. "You're saying you need me to." "What?" "Hold your hand." "Yes," she said, looking down. "More than that. But starts with touch, warmth, safety." Tyler sighed. "I fix drones and microwave engines. I don't cure space diseases." She looked at him, her golden eyes shining with something raw. "Then I die." The words hit him hard. He looked at her, really looked at the way her fingers trembled, at how she hid her pain behind a calm face. He didn't believe in destiny or magic, but this girl, she was real, and she needed him. That evening, they sat by the heater. Tyler gave her some warm broth, and she leaned against him. The moment their bodies touched, her glow returned brighter this time. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Feels right." But they weren't alone. Far above Earth, a ship uncloaked, dark, and silent. Inside were Valtteri hunters as agents sent by the High Council. Their mission was clear: find Soraka and eliminate her before she could expose the truth. She was supposed to be dead by now, but the human had changed everything, and now the countdown had begun. Soraka tried to stay calm. She told herself not to get too close to the human. But it was already too late. Each time she touched Tyler, the warmth in her chest returned. Each time he looked at her, something deep inside her responded. It wasn't just comfort anymore. It was something stronger, something ancient. Velthari girls were trained to control their minds, to resist urges, but no training prepared her for this. Because the bond had begun and once started, it could not be undone. She stood in the corner of the small shack, her hands gripping the edge of the table. Her breathing was fast, uneven. The heat inside her body had grown from a gentle spark to a burning storm. Tyler sat nearby, fixing an old plasma core, completely unaware. He didn't see her skin pulsing with light, or the blue veins glowing under her neck. He didn't hear the way her heart raced at the sound of his voice. "Are you okay?" he asked, looking up. She flinched, then nodded too quickly. "Yes, just resting," he smiled. "Good. Because I was starting to think you might explode." She gave a weak laugh, but inside, she was trembling. The bond was incomplete, and it was tearing her apart. Without full contact, without true connection, her body would burn out. That's what happened to the others girls who refused or who never found a human. They called it the inactive collapse, but it was more like being pulled apart from the inside. Her skin was hot now, her thoughts blurry. She saw flashes, memories from her ancestors, Velthari maidens bonding with ancient humans. Their minds linking, powers blooming. Now those memories were waking in her. Because the blood remembered, Sarika stumbled, grabbing the wall. Tyler was beside her in seconds. Hey, are you burning up again?" She looked at him with glowing eyes, full of pain and something more. "Tyler, please. Stay close." He nodded. "I'm here," and placed his hand on her shoulder the moment he touched her. A pulse of energy surged through her chest. She gasped, and her knees buckled. He caught her before she fell, holding her close. Her body trembled against his. She whispered, "Don't move. Don't let go." He didn't, for minutes. They stood together, and her body slowly calmed, her skin cooled. The light faded into a soft glow. The pain eased. But a new feeling took its place. Need. Tyler gently helped her sit down. He looked worried, confused. "I think you're getting worse," he said. Sarika shook her head slowly. "No. This is the bond. It's growing stronger." He blinked. "Okay." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm alive because of you," she whispered. "But if you leave, I'll die." Tyler sat beside her, trying to understand. "So this bond, it's like a connection." "Yes," she said. "Not just touch, it's trust, emotion, energy." He frowned. "And what happens if I return you to your people?" Her face turned pale. "They'll kill me, or worse, they'll hide me, and I'll fade like the others." She looked at him, eyes wide with fear. "You're my only chance." Tyler, he sat back, thinking. He didn't ask for any of this. He was just a guy fixing scrap. But now, an alien girl needed him just to survive, and part of him didn't want her to go. There was something about her presence, something real. Even without the glowing skin and fancy words, she felt honest, lost, like him, before he could respond. An alarm went off. Proximity sensor on the edge of the scrapyard. He stood quickly and checked the feed. 3 figures were moving in from the east. No heat signatures, no IDs. "Visitors," he said. Grabbing his pulse wrench, Sarika's eyes widened. "No, not visitors," she whispered. "They found me." Tyler looked at her. "Who?" "The hunters," she said, her voice tight with fear. "They're not here to take me back, Tyler. They're here to erase me." Outside, the air grew still. The hunters stepped into the yard, cloaked, armored, silent. Their faces were hidden, but their weapons were drawn. Sarika's body began to glow again, her power reacting to the threat. But it was unstable too soon. Too raw. I'll handle this. Tyler said, You can't, she said, grabbing his hand. You're not bonded fully. If you fight now, I'll collapse. He looked down at her glowing fingers wrapped around his. Then he nodded slowly. Then we fight together. And in that moment, something changed. Their bond deepened, and the heat inside her became power. The hunters did not speak. They moved like shadows, smooth and silent. Their armor was dark silver, their helmets glowing with red slits for eyes. They were not soldiers. They were cleaner sent only when the High Council wanted. Something erased forever. Tyler crouched behind a broken rover with Soraka. Her glow pulsed brighter now, feeding off his closeness. But her strength wasn't stable. The bond was growing, but not complete. And she was still too weak to defend herself alone. They won't stop, she whispered, her voice shaking. They're trained to hunt anything, anywhere, even through dimensions. Tyler nodded slowly, gripping the pulse wrench tighter. Then they'll learn what it's like to hunt a human on his own turf. The first blast came fast, a red beam of plasma that melted through the corner of the shack. Wood cracked, metal popped, fire sparked. Tyler pulled Soraka back just in time. Shielding her with his body, one of the hunters advanced, scanning the wreckage. Gun ready, Tyler whispered. Stay here. And slipped out the back door. He circled around the yard, using old ships and storage crates for cover. He moved fast, like he had when he was younger, before the war, before the peace treaty that left him forgotten. But those skills hadn't left him, not completely. He reached the side of the shack and jumped up on a stack of barrels. From there, he saw the hunter clearly, tall, precise, moving like a machine. Tyler threw a spark grenade. It exploded in a burst of blinding blue light. The hunter stumbled, and Tyler charged, smashing the pulse wrench into the helmet's side. Sparks flew. The hunter staggered back, and Tyler dove for cover again. Inside, Soraka struggled to stay conscious. The bond was surging, responding to the danger. She saw flashes: Tyler's anger, his courage, his fear, and her own body answered. Her skin glowed bright blue now. Lines of energy racing through her arms, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. The second hunter entered through the roof, crashing down in a blur of steel. Soraka screamed as it aimed its weapon, but before it could fire, Tyler tackled it from behind, knocking its aim off. The blast struck the floor, leaving a deep burn. Tyler wrestled with the hunter, using every ounce of strength he had, but they were stronger, faster. Soraka rose, weak but determined. She stepped forward, her hands crackling with light. The hunter looked at her, then froze. The energy building inside her was different now. Old, forbidden, deadly. She raised her hand and released a burst of force that threw the hunter across the shack. It hit the wall, armor sparking, then slumped down. Silent, Tyler looked at her. Why died? You did that? She nodded slowly, breathing hard. The bond. It's stabilizing, because you stayed, but they weren't safe yet. The third hunter was still outside, and it wasn't alone. Up in the sky, a new signal blinked on Tyler's screen. A scout ship, cloaked, hovering above them. Reinforcements were coming. They're calling in more, Tyler said, checking the monitor. They'll bomb this whole place just to get you. Soraka's face went pale. I can't run. Not yet. I'm still too weak. Tyler looked at her, then at the burning wreckage of his shack. His home, his tools, everything he built gone. He made a decision, fast and clear. Then we go underground. He led her through the back path, past the canyon, into the old mining tunnels. They were abandoned years ago. But Tyler still had a few power cells hidden there. Inside, the air was damp and cold. But safe for now. Soraka sat down, her body trembling. I never wanted this, she said softly. I was supposed to die quietly, but you didn't. Tyler said, "You came here, and now you're in this with me?" She looked at him, her eyes glowing in the dark. "Why are you helping me, Tyler?" "You don't owe me anything." He sat beside her. "Because you didn't run from me either. You could have tried to use me or lie, but you didn't. You trusted me." The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was deep, like the bond pulling them closer, stronger. Outside, the scout ship scanned the ground. The hunters were regrouping, but something had changed. Soraka wasn't just a target anymore, she was a threat. And the council would not allow her to live, but neither would Tyler allow her to die. And for the first time in her life, Soraka felt what real protection meant. Not duty, not rules. Just someone who stayed, someone who fought for her, and that gave her strength she never knew she had. The tunnels were quiet, dark, cold, and forgotten by time, but deep inside them, something powerful was waking. Soraka sat with her back against the wall, eyes closed. Her breathing was slow, steady. Blue light pulsed softly from her chest, calm and warm. It was the bond. It was no longer flickering, no longer fighting to stay alive. Now it had roots. Now it had meaning. Tyler sat across from her, watching carefully. He had given her food, his jacket, even his last battery pack to charge. Her body, he didn't complain. Not once. And now, something inside him was changing too. He could feel her emotions, not hear her thoughts but feel. When she was in pain, his chest tightened. When she felt peace, so did he. Soraka opened her eyes slowly. They glowed gold, now pure and steady. "You stayed?" she whispered. He nodded. "Of course I did. You didn't run?" "Nope. You didn't leave me when I told you the truth." "Not even tempted." Tyler smiled. She looked at him deeply. "That means?" "The bond is complete." He blinked. "What does that mean, exactly?" Soraka stood slowly, her body no longer shaking. She raised her hand, and the air around her shimmered. Small rocks floated. The tunnel lights flickered, and the walls glowed with old alien symbols. "This," she said, "is the power of a completed bond." Tyler stood too, shocked. "You're doing that?" "We are doing that," she corrected. "You gave me balance, safety, purpose. Now I can control the energy passed down from the first bloodlines of Valthari." She stepped closer to him. "But that's not all." She touched his chest, just lightly, and he felt warmth spreading through his whole body. His senses sharpened. His thoughts became clear. His heart beat in sync with hers. "You're not just stronger," he said slowly. "You're connected to me." Soraka nodded. "We share power now. If you are hurt, I feel it. If I am in danger, you'll sense it. We are one breath, two bodies." Tyler exhaled slowly. "Well, that's going to make dating awkward." She smiled, for the first time really smiled. It lit up the tunnel brighter than any lamp. But their moment didn't last. Above ground, the scout ship finished its scan. The signal from Soraka's body had changed. She wasn't weakening anymore. She was stabilizing, evolving. The hunters knew the bond had completed. Now, the mission had changed. They weren't here to erase her. Now they were ordered to capture her alive before she could return to Valthari and reveal the truth. Inside the tunnel, Soraka suddenly gasped. She clutched her head, eyes wide. "They've changed tactics," she whispered. "They want me alive now, but not for my safety." Tyler's jaw clenched. "What will they do if they catch you?" "Dissect me, silence me, erase the bond from history forever." Tyler paced the tunnel, thinking fast. "Then we go on the offensive," he said. "Wait for them to come again, and we hit them harder." Together, Soraka hesitated. "But we can't kill them, not all of them." Tyler looked at her, confused. "Why not?" "Because," she said softly, "they're not alone anymore." She raised her hand. A projection appeared in mid-air images from her ship's memory banks now activated by her powers. Tyler saw Velthari, soldiers, leaders, and even elders preparing to come to Earth. Ships were gathering. A fleet. They fear me now, Soraka said. They fear what the bond means for their control. If others find out that humans can awaken Velthari gifts, the council will fall. Tyler nodded slowly. So, what's our plan? Soraka looked at him with fire in her eyes. We show them, she said. We show the galaxy what a bonded human and Velthari can really do. Tyler smirked. Let's give them something to fear. Over the next 2 days, they worked. Together, Tyler rebuilt old tech drones, turrets, stealth fields, all powered by Soraka's energy. Soraka practiced with her new abilities. She could now control gravity in small bursts, phase through thin walls, and even read short bursts. Of Tyler's thoughts, you're thinking about coffee. She said one afternoon. He grinned. You're reading my mind only when you're craving food. She laughed. They weren't just surviving now. They were planning, training, preparing for war. And the bond now fully formed kept growing stronger with every smile, every glance, every breath. It wasn't just power. It was trust. It was love blooming where there should have been fear, and that kind of bond was unstoppable. Asterisk, they came in the night, silent, invisible, and prepared for war. Velthari's elite captured them in less than a minute. There was no fight, no sound, only darkness and, then nothing. Tyler woke in a white chamber, cold lights. Above him, metal walls around. He was alone, strapped to a chair, no Soraka, no sound. Only a strange hum in the air, like a machine waiting to decide his fate. He pulled against the restraints. Nothing budged. His heart raced. Where was she? Was she alive? Had they broken the bond? Then a voice filled the room, cold and sharp. You are the human, it said. A figure stepped forward, an elder of Velthari, dressed in black robes lined with silver. I am High Inquisitor Maleth. You were warned, Earthling, but you did not listen. I wasn't warned, Tyler snapped. I was attacked. Maleth ignored the words. The girl is not yours. She belongs to the bloodlines. You interfered in things too old for you to understand. She's not a thing. Tyler growled. She's a person, and she chose to bond. Maleth's eyes narrowed. Then she will pay for that choice. In a chamber below, Soraka was on her knees. Her wrists bound in glowing cuffs, surrounded by elders and council guards. She didn't cry, she didn't beg. She just stared ahead, calm and burning with fury. You have bonded with a human, one elder hissed. You violated our laws, our traditions. Soraka looked up slowly. Your laws are killing us, she said. The others died because you silenced the truth. You will die, the elder said. Unless you undo the bond. Soraka froze. That wasn't possible, not without death. I can't, she whispered. If I break the bond, I die. And so will he. Then choose. Maleth's voice echoed as he stepped into the chamber. Break it. Or kill the human yourself. Prove your loyalty to Velthari. Soraka's hands trembled. Killed Tyler. The one who gave her warmth, safety, trust. The one who never asked for anything but still gave everything. Bring him in, Maleth ordered. 2 guards dragged Tyler into the chamber. His arms bruised, his face bloodied, but unbroken. He looked at Soraka and gave her a small nod. It's okay, he whispered. Do what you have to. Her heart cracked at his words. He was ready to die for her. But she wasn't ready to lose him. No, she said, her voice rising. I won't do it. You dare defy the council. Maleth shouted, I dare to live, she answered. The bond inside her blazed. Her cuff sparked, then shattered. The blue light from her chest flared like a star. The guards fell back, blinded by her power. She moved to Tyler's side, tearing his restraints apart with a wave of energy. He stood slowly, breathless. "You good?" he asked. She smiled. "Now I am." Malith raised his staff. "Stop them." But it was too late. Soraka lifted her hands, and the air cracked with light. Walls trembled, machines failed. Ancient power filled the room, not just from her but from both of them. The bond was more than energy. It was will, and together. Their will could not be broken. The council ran. Some tried to fight us, simply vanished in fear. Soraka stood tall beside Tyler. "I am Valtheri," she said, her voice echoing across the chamber. "But I am not yours. I choose my path now, with him." Tyler took her hand, and together they walked out of the chamber as the walls crumbled behind them. Not with violence, not with blood, but with truth. Truth that could no longer be denied. Outside, ships waited. Some loyal to the council, others uncertain. But when they saw Soraka alive, glowing, powerful, they lowered their weapons. Whispers spread. She survived. She completed the bond. She didn't die. And then one voice said, "The thing no one else dared to? Maybe. She's not the enemy." Soraka looked up at the sky. She could feel the bond in her bones. Strong, warm, eternal. They had tried to test her loyalty, but all they did was make it stronger. The old world was ending, and a new one had just begun. The stars had watched her fall. Now they watched her rise. Soraka stood on the bridge of a Valthari command ship. Not as a prisoner, not as a runaway, but as a voice the galaxy could no longer ignore. Tyler stood beside her, armored and scavenged. Gear and carrying nothing but his strength and loyalty. Their hands were linked, the bond glowing softly between them. Behind them, the council chamber was silent. The elders had been removed, replaced by new voices, ones willing to listen. Cool. On every screen, every channel across the systems, their image was being broadcast live. Soraka took a breath. The words were already burning in her chest. "For centuries, they lied to us," she said. Her voice clear. "They said we were dying from weakness. That our bloodline was broken." She looked directly into the camera, but it was not weakness. It was silence. We were designed to bond not with control, but with connection, with honesty, emotion. And yes, with humans, gasps were heard across the ship's crew deck. Some still feared the truth. Others leaned in closer. Soraka didn't pause. "They told us humans were dangerous, primitive, unworthy." She turned to Tyler. "But this human gave me his food, his strength, his warmth. Without ever asking for anything in return. He didn't control me," she continued. "He chose to protect me. And because of that, I didn't die. I evolved. A younger Valthari." Officer in the crowd whispered. "Then?" "The sickness was never a sickness." Soraka heard her and nodded. "It was our soul screaming for something we were forbidden to reach. Now that secret is out, and we will never fade again. Far away, across the stars. Other young Valthari." Girls watched the broadcast from their homes, some of them glowing faintly, some already weakening. Mothers wept quietly. Fathers held their daughters' hands a little tighter. And somewhere, in a distant outpost, a brave girl stood up and whispered, "I want to meet a human." Back aboard the command ship, Tyler stepped forward. He wasn't used to speaking in front of crowds, but he spoke anyway. "I'm not a hero," he said. "I'm not a chosen one. I was just a guy fixing broken junk. Then one night, she landed in my life." He looked at Soraka. "She needed me, but I didn't realize I needed her too. Not to fix me, but to remind me that I could still matter. That I wasn't just some forgotten human in the galaxy." He paused. "I didn't understand the bond. But I understand loyalty, and I'll stand with her." Every time, the broadcast ended with silence, but that silence was louder than any war. Because across Valthari space, change had begun. The High Council was dissolved. New leaders were chosen ones who had seen the truth. The bond was no longer a secret. Humans were welcomed for the first time in over 1,000 years. Special programs were created to help girls nearing the danger stage, not to hide them, but to understand them, to support them, to connect them. Velthari scientists and human doctors worked together for the first time. Old fear was replaced with new hope, and Soraka became a symbol, not just of survival, but of what could happen when love was chosen over fear. When truth was louder than control, she and Tyler didn't stay in power. They didn't want thrones or titles. They lived quietly, traveling between worlds, helping others form the bond, training humans and Velthari alike to respect one another, to protect each other. They didn't just break the old system, they built a new one, together, and, as time passed, their story became legend. The girl who should have died, the human who didn't walk away, the bond that saved a race. One day, a child asked Soraka, "Is it true you were going to die if you didn't find a human?" Soraka smiled, her eyes glowing faintly. "I wasn't going to die, little one," she said. Softly, "I was going to disappear, but he helped me be seen," and in that simple sentence, she gave the galaxy what it had forgotten: hope.